back with another video. This video is going to be a bit different. It's going to be a player analysis of Bruno Fernandes and his role in Manchester United's team in a few situations when they are in possession of the ball. And if you want to see PowerPoints of explanations of the videos, check the link in the description below. It'll have a membership, and all my members get access to my phone number, and they get access to PowerPoints of all the videos so they can take away a bit more from each of the concepts. But the first concept in which we'll be talking about is his occupation of the 10 area between the lines between central defenders and the central midfielders. So this space he usually occupies with a partner of the forward, and their dual occupation of this area allows them greater flexibility to then change their orientation and maneuver themselves deeper, or be it in behind. So this change, and with a partner as well, they affect the defense in usually two different ways, contrasting each other to create space. So now we look at their staggering. This is with a inverted winger. And now we look at the orientation of Bruno Fernandes, and his orientation is now closer to the midfielders. And what this does is it can either cause a defender to jump, which then creates space in behind for a player like Marcus Rashford to make a narrow run in, or it just creates more space for Luke Shaw to then take the ball in a vacated area, in the wide area, with the inversion of Marcus Rashford. But now working together through the half space, Bruno Fernandes staying a bit deeper, so when the ball does go wide and the midfielder shift, he'll be between the lines and be able to link up play in the wide structure between the three of these players. And that's something that he also does quite often, is join in the wide structure and have double occupation between the lines of the half space to manipulate and force the defense to overcorrect in these situations, which then releases space in other areas. So here is a perfect example, and now we start to see his scanning. His scanning refers to just his visual field and how he looks into different areas of the field. So this, he's scanning, looking at Marcus Rashford, and he's affecting the midfielders by positioning himself between two midfielders, narrowing their position, which then opens up space for the inverted winger, Marcus Rashford, to then receive a diagonal pass from the central corridor, or if the defender follows, the longer pass will be on into Luke Shaw, the advanced fullback, which is sparked by the initiation of Marcus Rashford coming narrow, but all made possible because of the central positioning of Bruno Fernandes and the threat he carries, and how the defense respond at greater lengths into his positioning rather than other players. Next, we have his use of the half space in the final third, and here we have the half space, and I'm just highlighting it here for you guys so you can see. We have the half space in the final third, and entering it is Bruno Fernandes in possession of the ball, and when he enters it here on the in-swinger, they typically have two players either advancing 8 like Scott McTominay, or an inverted winger, and together they have numerical equality against the two central defenders. Well, they have 3 central defenders, but one is controlling the space in the assist zone, so it's a 2v2 in the box. And this allows Bruno Fernandes to use his qualities on the ball and play balls between the goalkeepers and the central defenders in this space here to make it really hard for the defenders to defend, because their momentum's taking them towards goal while they have to defend across in behind. So now, how Bruno Fernandes uses zone 14. And for those of you who don't know, if you split the field into 3 vertical corridors and then divide it horizontally, you'll end up with this zone 14, as many people like to describe, and I can even highlight it better because just off the field it's a bit hard to highlight it, but roughly this is about zone 14. It extends a little more, but because of the space, that's the best I can do. But this is zone 14, the zone in and around the box in the central corridor, most central, and Bruno Fernandes, his link-up play is very good in tight areas, so he can play a 1-2, and then this gives him direct access to pull the strings into the assist zones on either side, or have a goal-oriented attempt at goal. He's in close enough proximity to make this happen, but with inverting wingers and overlapping fullbacks, he has the ability to pick a pass in tight areas and combine with teammates to then dictate play in the final third. So now, in possession, we have again the partnership of him and the forward, and they typically share this partnership throughout, and when they start on the same level like this, it's their starting position pre-movement, and from here they can then adjust to what the defense gives them. So if the defense looks to jump and space is created between the lines here, then it may be the weak side player, the forward in this case, not Bruno Fernandes, to then go deeper, and then Bruno Fernandes would then go higher to then complement each other and affect the defense in different ways. So now we can see the overloading in the half space between the lines, also what Bruno Fernandes can do. And from here, when all the defensive players, their orientation takes them to the ball, as we see here, you can see their hips and their eyesight all going towards ball. This is when Bruno Fernandes is very dangerous. He can make these blindside movements into dangerous areas to then receive a pass from a deeper area, in behind, or into an advanced area, which many people don't notice because it's very subtle, or when they're over compact and the pass cannot be played forward, Bruno Fernandes either rotates out to create space deeper for someone, or he's more than comfortable just dropping in and receiving the ball in front of the block to then get on the ball and stretch the vertical compactness of the low block. Oftentimes you'll see this when the team is over compact defensively and there's no way through. He'll drop deeper to attract the team that's defending out to then create the space to move into. So here is a moment in transition. So Lindelof has just won the ball. Bruno Fernandes is right here. You can't see him, but right now he scans right when the ball is won to look at the situation, look at the forward option, and where the space is, and who the space is with, where the defenses are, to get a general picture. Then, as play develops, he'll check again right before his action on the ball occurs. So he checks now to see how the space has changed, and he sees his passing options forward and backwards, and he sees the players coming from behind. So when a defender does jump, he'll change his body orientation. So as he's facing more negative, he'll turn his body so he's facing forward, and even if it's just a layoff to Lindelof again, he'll change his body orientation so he's actually facing forward to give him a positional advantage over his defender, who again is jumping. So by facing forward, he has the advantage over the defender and has the advantage of his momentum taking him forward rather than the defenders who's taking him in the opposite direction. So here we see his orientation is to receive on the back foot, But in this situation, he actually turns his body quite cleverly, and by turning it, he then is able to receive the ball square to Declan Rice, and then this gives him the advantage to then move forward past Declan Rice and give Lindelof the ball back to then create space between the lines and open up players centrally. So his size and physique and qualities physically actually aid this to maneuver in tight areas because he can turn quite quickly, and although he may not be overly fast going straight forward, he's very quick to turn and shift directions and change directions in these tight areas that make him very much a threat when he gets on the ball between the lines. And so now, another key situation, which is probably the most common situation to look out for when he is on the ball and making a blindside movement into the space. And a blindside movement is just when the defense is occupied by the ball, and then Bruno Fernandes right here just moves through the blind side of the defense against the direction of the ball, so he moves opposite of the ball into the half space, and then which allows him to join the wide structure and allows Marcus Rashford to go more narrow and brings the defense in, so moving opposite of the defense as well, putting him in more space when the ball does start to go to one side, so the ball could end up with him. And this is often how he finds so much space, by just moving in the opposite direction of the ball and how the defense shifts. So then he'll end up finding the ball in space in a later sequence of the same possession. So now the last little bit we see here, his idle movement on the weak side stems from his opposite movement compared to the opposing team's defensive shifting. So these three players, the midfielders, and now the back five in this situation, they're defending in their low block, and through the lack of movement of Bruno Fernandes, the ball will be able to be circulated into him, and then he'll receive the ball and be able to have space and then pick out a passing option between the lines or go around the block, or have a creative solution to these problems. So that was just a brief analysis of a few concepts he uses, how he makes space, how he finds the ball, and some of the actions that occur in the final third. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.